So there was recently this video about Forspoken on the PS5 and how they're going to be utilizing some AMD technology, Fidelity FX super resolution. And let's just say this, it's incredibly exciting for all gaming what they say this tech has managed to do for Forspoken. So let's go over what's going on here. So the goal of the Forspoken team is to have the highest quality visuals ever seen in an open world game. That alone is just sort of an insane goal to set for your game. They're talking about hitting 60 FPS at 4K, which to them they say requires precise optimization. And that's actually correct because you need to do a lot of pushing and pulling on the back end. Sometimes you need to have you need to dip down your base resolution and able to hit that 4K 60, especially on any console. It doesn't matter. The idea that consoles can just simply hit native 4K at 60 frames per second, it's very rare and often not possible. Most companies are using something like AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution. On PCs, for example, to run at native 4K 60 FPS with Cyberpunk as a recent example. Cyberpunk was actually a gorgeous game on PC. I realize that game is a controversial one to use as an example, but using NVIDIA's DLSS, which stands for, I wrote down the definition because it's long. Deep learning super sampling. Basically what it does is it looks at the scene and sort of figures out what it's supposed to be without costing your computer hardware any issues. So this is really, really exciting. Before I get into what Forspoken is going to do exactly, I thought I would talk a little bit about AMD's Fidelity FX Super Resolution. Most of this is from a Verge article, so I'm going to give them credit now. So the Fidelity FX Super Resolution, it's new tech from AMD, and it's basically to compete with NVIDIA's DLSS, which is able to render a scene and keep your frame rate locked at 60, or on PC, a lot of players like to push even above that. For me, I think for a lot of games, 4K 60 is great. FSR aims to upscale games from a lower resolution, provide smoother frame rates without a noticeable compromise in image quality. That's the goal of FSR, right? So basically what they're saying is, yes, they're going to use up sampling, but you're not going to notice a difference as a player. Now, when I do my pixel counts, basically what you do is you find a jagged edge and you're able to count the exact pixels that the native resolution a game is running at on console. It's tedious process to say the least, and that's usually how it's done. But games have been getting smarter and smarter. If you actually watch my breakdown of the Gears of War feature, Gears of War uses I think it's dynamic resolution scaling or variable rate. I can't remember the specific terminology. But it uses a technology where it doesn't render the whole scene natively. It renders parts of it at full resolution and parts of it not. Like, you don't need to see everything perfectly in focus at all times, and that's how they managed to run it 4K. Really, really impressive tech. It was variable rate shading. Anyway, this is why I write scripts when I talk about graphic stuff, okay? And this one isn't scripted. I make sure I get my terminology right, so please forgive me if you're a graphics person and you're losing your mind right now. I apologize. But anyway, continuing on about this, this new tech is currently available in some games that probably aren't that impressive to you, but Anno 1800, Evil Genius 2, Godfall was the one they used in their presentation. King's Hunt 22 Racing Series, Terminator Resistance, and the Rift Breaker. But anyway, Godfall is probably the one, was PlayStation 5 exclusive. Now it's on PlayStation 4. It was one of those games where they're like, hey, look, we're using this technology. And they showed it off. And the thing that's really, really interesting is this is great technology. And this is available on all platforms. This is going to be Xbox, PC, PlayStation 5, on everything, right? And what's really, really interesting about that is I watched the Forspoken interview, and I think I watched the King's Hunt and maybe Terminator, and I believe all three of those, definitely two of those, said that implementation of this technology literally took 1 day. So that is a very small price to pay to offer some of the best visuals that you possibly can to your consumer base. So on the GPU side, FSR, the AMD technology, it works with a ton of GPUs. It works with the 6000 series, but it also goes all the way down to the RX 480, 470, and 460 cards, all the way down there. Check this out. They even support it on NVIDIA GPUs from the 10 series up, basically, to the 30 series, which we're on now. So all of this is tremendously exciting, and it has me really, really excited about Forspoken on the PS5. I was already stoked about it. It's in one of my top PlayStation games that I'm excited about video because it deals with movement, momentum, and it seems like very precise timing. The only thing that it says on the website about this game is, in a world not her own, where resolve will be tested, truths will be questioned, and devotions will be doubted, she will rise. About this lead female protagonist. I don't really know much about the game. I don't understand what's going on, but they've really, really nailed movement, momentum, jumping, leaping through the level, and it seems like it's going to require precise timing in those combat sections that they teased in the video. So some of the technology things about Forspoken that have me interested: 60 FPS at 4K. Heck yeah, that is going to use that trickery that I talked about. And people always like use this as a negative for both Xbox and PlayStation. And I gotta be honest, y'all sort of need to calm down about it, because dynamic resolution, and here's what they say about it. He claims that the highest quality and native resolution are undetectable, switching between those two. So as we develop technologies that are able to do this, native resolution is going to become less important. I see it used constantly online as a negative, but you have to realize more and more games are using variable rate shading. They're using this Fidelity FX super resolution. They're using dynamic resolution scaling. They're using DLSS, and that's how they're hitting this 60 FPS target. And it's a really smart developer tool that gives you a better gaming experience at the end of the day. So I'm always a little I don't know. I find it a little unfortunate that people use this as a negative when actually it's incredibly smart technology that is drastically improving the games we play. Native 4K, it's sure, it's gorgeous. If you have a PC that can run a game at native 4K 60 FPS, it's lovely. It's very pretty and gorgeous. But let's be honest, at the end of the day, gameplay is the most important thing. So if they can use this technology to get the visuals as close as they possibly can to native, I think we're a few years out from that. I don't think the technology within the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are going to be doing native 4K at 60. We're going to continue to see throughout the life cycle of these consoles, and this is just my opinion, these technologies like Fidelity FX, we're going to see things where resolution is dynamically scaled in a way that you get an amazing gaming experience, not necessarily at native 4K 60. We'll probably see native 4K 30. We've seen that doable. I think Resident Evil did 4K 30. Resident Evil has one of the most impressive engines out of all of this, but when you start taxing those systems with ray tracing and the other expectations the gaming community has, I don't think they can do it. I mean, if high-end gaming PCs are still struggling with that, even with like a 3090 in there, like I have a 3090, I don't know if I could run it most games at native 4K 60. It would probably struggle, right? It's not necessary, in my opinion. Your game's still going to look stunning. Anyway, I'm sort of going on a rant about resolution. It's important, and I do think it is information that you should have as a consumer, and I can appreciate why you're passionate about it, but I'm trying to be realistic with you. I don't think it's happening, right? Anyway, so going back to Forspoken for a little bit, it required precise optimization to hit this, and AMD Fidelity FX Super Resolution provided a significant performance boost when running Forspoken at 4K 60 FPS. And they also brought up the idea of low latency and then showed some of the blocking mechanics in the game, I have to imagine there's going to be a parry technique, which is going to be really, really important to that low latency aspect of the game. And when you're talking about latency, you got to talk about the input delay from the controller, which is wireless in most cases. But when you play wireless, that adds a little bit of latency, and then your display, depending on what your monitor has, that could introduce latency, et cetera, et cetera. There's all these things that sort of go into it. NVIDIA has a great little video about all the things that go into latency, from the click of the mouse to the render of the graphic cards, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, excited to hear about Forspoken utilizing this tech. The fact that it was easy to implement is really, really exciting. Yes, they are going to use dynamic resolution. I don't think we should be as hard on developers for using dynamic resolution. I think it's a smart design tactic, and I think we get better gaming experiences because of it. I remember seeing Returnal getting a bunch of a guff because it upscales from 1080, but Returnal's still one of my game of the years because the gameplay is impeccable. I love the gameplay of Returnal. Anyway, I believe AMD's GPU open philosophy is raising the entire gaming industry's technical standards, which in turn benefits all players. And he's absolutely right. This technology, like I said, means we're going to get better games across the board. It's unfortunate that we're not seeing Resident Evil or Far Cry utilizing this tech yet. Those are some of the titles that are on the way. But for now, hearing from these developers who have utilized it and their impression, inspiring for me at least. I'll leave the white website up because that's my notes for each story. That's why like if I click off of it, like a little dark, right? Anyway, that's just sort of an interesting story. I want to talk about Forspoken. I'm really, really excited about that game. Are you excited for Forspoken? Let me know in the comments below. Hey, well, I have you. All month long, we're raising money for St. Jude Children's Hospital. Thank you so much to everybody who has donated. St. Jude Children's Hospital is working to cure cancer and other rare childhood diseases all month long. I'll be including this link where, if you choose to, you can donate. Some places your money will go. $10 will get a toy for the waiting area. $250 will buy a meal ticket for a family so that they can eat in the cafeteria and spend time with their child who is usually dealing with cancer or another rare illness. And $500 will get a bone marrow transplant for a kid. Thank you so much to everybody who has donated. Hopefully we can hit that $5,000 goal. I realize it's a stretch at this point, but let's keep going. Thank you to everybody who has donated. If you like these sort of videos, these late night rambles, these blah, blah, blahs from me, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We are close. We're nearing in on 70,000 subs. By the end of the year, I'm hoping for 100K. I want that button. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you like these sort of videos, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much to everybody that subscribed. What else? Oh, memberships. Memberships are a thing that's turned on. Thank you to everybody who has become a member. Want to do that, click that join button. I'm going to get out of here. That was a little bit longer than I meant it to be. I'll the next one. Bye, everybody.